Well, good morning, Center of Hope, and anyone else who gets to see this video today. It's June the 5th, it's sunny, and it's Friday. Now, as if those weren't things to be happy enough about, it's also Donut Day. Yay! That's right, Donut Day. And in honor of being Donut Day, I thought maybe I'd tell you a story about a donut. Did he just say he was going to tell us a story about a donut? Yep, he said donut. That makes sense to you, does it? Yeah. It's a donut story. Get over it. Okay, so many years ago, I'm working at a place in St. Thomas called Youth for Christ. And while I'm working there, I came into my office one morning and I find a donut sitting on my desk, which is already an unusual thing because pastries don't generally just appear on my desk. And actually, I don't think it's ever happened here either. Anyway, so this donut's on my desk and I look at it and go, okay, that's a little weird, but what I saw was even weirder, because we all know we see a donut, expectation goes into our head, we're about to have a nice sweet treat. Excellent. We all love donuts because, as Homer Simpson says, is there nothing that they can't do? Well, I saw this donut and I went, that's great, but what is that stuff? It was bacon. Yeah, it was a bacon donut. So I picked it up after examining it for a little bit more, and I took a bite of this thing, and that's when the war went on in my head, because my brain said, this is a donut, you're supposed to be eating something sweet, and yet my tongue was saying, no, this is salty and smoky and very bacony. What's going on? It was a good battle. Anyway, it was delicious, but not what I was expecting. Have you ever had that happen where you know the way something is going to go because it's done that, or it's been that way so many different times, or so many times in your life? I've had donuts a lot in my life, as you can probably tell, and I always know what to expect when I'm eating a donut, except that one blew me away. Well, I'm sure we've had things like that happen where I know it's going to do this because it's always done this, and if it ever changes, it just kind of throws us for a loop. That being said, let me tell you a story. I want to tell you a story that took place many, many years ago. In fact, this is going to come out of the Bible, of the book of Numbers. And I'm just going to short form this because it's already almost 3 minutes in, and this is a bit of a long story. So, the group of Israelites that God had taken out of Egypt were now marching along to the Promised Land, and on their way going, were taking over new lands and areas that God was giving to them on the way. Well, they had just finished taking over this really big group of people. I think it was the Assyrians. I'd have to check that up again, but I think it's the Assyrians. And they were heading towards this place called Moab. At least that is what the king of Moab thought. They saw this army coming and they thought, oh no. And let me tell you why. See, Moab was just under the foot of the Assyrians because they had just conquered Moab, or had conquered them a little while ago, and were ruling them. Well, now that the Israelites took out those guys, Moab was free. Yay! But now there's another army coming. Ooh, not so good. So the king of Moab thought he would be proactive and try to take out Israel before he got there. Now, obviously, he can't do it with force, because if they had any kind of army, they would have freed themselves from the other people, the ones that just got their butts kicked by the Israelites. So that's not an option. So the king thought, how am I going to do this? Got it. So he sent some of his people to go talk with this guy named Balaam. Well, Balaam was, I don't know if you'd want to call him a prophet, but he was definitely somebody who talked to God and heard from God. So they sent Balaam this message saying, you got to come back. The king wants to talk to you because he knows whatever you curse is cursed. Whatever you bless is blessed. We need you to come back and curse these people, because otherwise we're in deep doo-doo. Now, what the king of Moab didn't realize at the time is Israelites had no plan on going to Moab. None whatsoever. They weren't doing it. But he was freaking out, thinking that they were, so he was doing this. So they sends all these people over to Balaam, and they come and they're like, Balaam's like, yes, how can I help you? And they said, well, the king wants you to come, and blah, 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 and give them the reason. And Balaam says, oh, well, tell you what, why don't you rest here tonight, make yourselves comfortable, we'll have something to eat, have something to drink, we'll talk later. I'm going to go talk to God and see what he has to say about this. What do you think? So they're like, all right, well, whatever. Why is he talking like that? I don't know. So they decide they'll stay there the night, and Balaam goes off and talks to God, and God says to him, who are these people? Why are they here? As if he doesn't know. And Balaam says, well, they're here because da-da-da-da. And God says, they want you to go over there and curse them. You want me to curse those people? No, I'm not going to curse the people that I've already blessed and I'm walking through there. How does this make sense? Anyway, next morning, Balaam comes out and says, yo, I talked to God. He said, not going to happen. Have a nice day. Hit the gift shop on the way out. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. And so they leave. They go back to the king, and they tell the king what had happened, and he is just a lot irritated. Not the answer he was expecting. So he sends more messengers back, and I believe he even said princes or princesses he sent back to try to convince Balaam that this is the right idea. Hold on a second, just got to pause. Just want to tell you a little bit about Balaam before we go too much farther, because I looked into this and I researched this. Sorry, I just had to wait for Jared to pick himself up off the floor. I researched this, and it said that, yes, Balaam did hear from God, and he did do what God wanted him to do, but when he wasn't doing that, this guy was negative. He was so negative. He was one of those puddle glum people who just always saw the negative things and stuff. In fact, it says later on that his death was actually brought on by wickedness that he has done because of his own negativeness. So that explains a little bit about Balaam and might help with what's happening later. Let me just, there we go. All right, and we're back. So the king sends this new envoy over to talk to Balaam, and Balaam hears these people again, and he goes off to talk to God. And he's going to talk to God again, same deal as the night before. And God, they want me to do this, and they're going to keep coming. I know they're going to keep coming, and they're going to knock on my door. They're going to eat all my food. They're going to trample my grass. And negative stuff, just verbal diarrhea and negativeness is what comes out of this guy. So God goes, fine, go with him tomorrow morning. But he wasn't happy with Balaam. So the next morning, Balaam gets up and he's like, finally, I get rid of these guys. He says, we can go. I just got to get my stuff ready. So he goes and he puts his saddle on his donkey, and they start heading out of town. I'm going to pick up, actually, I'm not going to start the reading yet, but this is what happens. They're on the donkey, they're going out of town, they're on the road going out, and suddenly the donkey, for no reason, hard right, just books it into the field. Balaam's on top going, what the stink is this? And he dicks his heel into the side of the donkey and tries to correct him. Well, the donkey turns a little bit, and then after like 2 minutes, does the same thing again, and just for no reason veers hard again down this garden path. And Balaam's like, what are you doing? So he hits him again. Goes on for another few feet, and then the donkey stops and lays down. He's on this path that you can't turn either right to the left. You can only go forwards or backwards. Donkeys don't like going backwards. Just lays down. Balaam pulls out his stick and starts smacking the donkey. This is where I'm going to start picking up in the scripture. This is out of Numbers in chapter 22. Then the Lord opened the mouth of the donkey, and she said to Balaam, what have I done to you that you struck me these 3 times? And Balaam said to the donkey, because you made a fool of me, I wish I had a sword in my hand, then I would have killed you. Now, again, just pausing, the donkey just talked to him. He didn't see this as strange. Anyway, okay. I wish I had a sword, I would have killed you. And the donkey said to him, am I not your donkey on which you've ridden all your life to this day? Is it in my habit to treat you this way? And Balaam said, no. Back to the donut story. Bacon donut. Didn't make sense to me. But there it was. The donkey says to him, I've never treated you this way. Suddenly I'm doing it. Do you think there might be a reason for this? Let me continue reading. Then the Lord opened the eyes of Balaam, and he saw what the donkey saw. I'm just going to pause again. See, the reason that the donkey turned all 3 times, or twice, and then laid down, is in the middle of the road there was an angel standing there with a sword. So he turned right, or she turned right. Saw an angel again with a sword, turned again. Saw the angel for a 3rd time on the path where you couldn't go to the right, couldn't go to the left, only go forward to back. Donkey's hate going backwards, not going forwards. Donkey lays down. So then the Lord opened the eyes of Balaam, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in his way, with a sword, with a drawn sword in his hand. And he bowed and fell on his face. And the angel of the Lord said to him, "Why have you struck your donkey 3 times? Behold, I've come out here to oppose you, because the way that you're on is perverse before me. The donkey saw me and turned aside for me these 3 times. If she hadn't turned aside before me, surely I would have killed you and let her live." Wow. Let's go back to that point. The donkey's never done this before. This is out of the ordinary. Suddenly something weird has happened, but Balaam doesn't see the truth. I read that story and I think about things and I wonder, how often does that happen in my life? How often have I been on a path or done things the usual way, and I know the way that they're going to happen or should happen, and they don't, and I have no idea why, and I get upset about it? Well, possibly, let me just throw this out there, maybe God had a different plan for me on those days. Maybe God was trying to direct me like this donkey did. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Guys, look at where we are right now. None of us have ever experienced this before. None of us have ever gone through anything like this before. We know how our lives are going to go. We know what the paths are that we are on because we've done it day in, day out for the last how many years, and nothing ever really has changed. Something like this comes along and it throws us for a loop. Well, maybe, just maybe, God has his hand on us still. I was talking with somebody earlier today about this exact subject, and it's so easy to get drawn into the negative right now that, well, we can't go meet with friends and families or whatnot. Yes, that is a bummer, but we do want to stay alive. But as we were talking, it was pointed out, how blessed are we that we're able to get out of the house and go to work. The jobs that you're at right now are a blessing. The fact that you don't have to be stuck in the house all the time is a blessing. The fact that you're able to make money still and have a life, like a living, is a blessing. We may not have seen why this is all happening, but I can tell you, just by those things that I just named, God has not left us. He hasn't forsaken us. He hasn't walked away from us. And maybe he's guiding us still. I choose to think that he is. And I hope you do too. Just wanted to give you a little bit of an uplifting thing here today, guys, because you know what? As I've said many, many times before, you're not alone. God walks with you on this. We need to be able to see that. And when we don't, we still need to be giving him thanks for all the wonderful things that he does for us, even when we don't see it. You think about Balaam. He never saw that angel, but I'll bet you he was grateful to that donkey afterwards. That donkey knew what was happening. Anyway, hope that makes sense. That's what I wanted to bring to you guys today. It's a gorgeous day. Go have a donut. I don't think there's any bacon ones there. But if anything that I've said, once again, I'll say this, anything that I've said makes you wonder, makes you want to think, go ahead and stop by, ask me, or you can actually leave a comment down below now. And let me know what you think of the video. Let me know if you have any questions. All right. Bless you all, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.